The virtue signalling of our present government, of Rishi Sunak, of the Home Secretary, this one, and his predecessor, when it comes to the terrorist event on October the 7th in Israel and the subsequent siege of Gaza and ground invasion and the huge suffering, the virtue signalling which is coming from the government is unendurable. And now we've got evidence of people who have written over a month ago to the Prime Minister's office, to the Prime Minister personally, and have received no response at all. People whose family members are victims of these atrocities. And I think it's worth listening to this question in Prime Minister's Questions this morning from a Conservative MP who is not acknowledged as my honourable friend or anything like that by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister treats him with a certain amount of contempt because he's not singing off the same hymn sheet as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, with his very simple black and white coded sloganized response to this crisis. This is something that he seems unable to address, and is clearly riled to even being asked about this. Listen to what he's got to say.
Rehman, Chishti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government has rightly responded to the shocking and unacceptable rise in anti-Semitism, and we saw extra funding in the autumn statement. I note that 44% of religiously aggravated motivated offences last year were against the Muslim community. Yet there was no funding in the autumn statement to deal with Islamophobia. The government's independent advisor role for Islamophobia has been left vacant for over 1 year. The Prime Minister knows we discussed these matters over a year ago, yet no action has taken place. Prime Minister, enough is enough with regards to tackling anti-Muslim hatred. Will the government now finally take action?
Mr. Speaker, we won't tolerate anti-Muslim hatred in any form and expect it to be dealt with wherever it occurs. I actually recently met Tal Mama, a service that provides support to victims of anti-Muslim hatred, who we have, in fact, supported with over £6 million of funding since its inception, and we're in regular dialogue with them. We have also, Mr. Speaker, doubled the funding for protective security measures through the Protective Security for Mosque scheme, and will continue to do everything that we can to keep our Muslim community safe.
Leader Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, in good news for kids this morning, it was snowing in Aberdeen, and when they looked out of the...
Steve Brisley's parents wrote to the Prime Minister a month ago, and their family, they live in Wales, their family was brutalised by the Hamas terrorist attack. They feel isolated and abandoned by the UK's appalling response and their failure, absolute failure, to reach out. You know, all this virtue signalling by the Prime Minister and his friends, it comes to nothing when they cannot be bothered to answer individual letters from people who are directly affected by the atrocities. Steve Brisley's sister, Liane Sharabi, along with his two nieces, Yahel and Noya, were all killed in the Gaza attack. Two other family members, Ellie and Yossi, were kidnapped, but Brisley has been silent over the efforts to locate them and bring them home. We've seen a number of hostages released over the past few days, and we are, of course, heartened by this, he said. But we have also seen how fragile these agreements are and how time is of the essence. And my government can help my British family, Ellie and Yossi's British family, by meeting with us and intervening in a meaningful way and in a way which acknowledges its obligations towards Ellie and Yossi and members of my British family, but they are silent. How can we be reassured that my government's voice is being heard on the international scene when I cannot even be reassured that my government has heard my voice? What a brilliant statement. And I'm so ashamed of Rishi Sunak's premiership at this moment. He says that David Cameron visited Kibbutz Be'eri. His feet broke the dirt into which the blood of my sister and 2 nieces is soaked, and yet neither he nor his predecessor has seen fit to meet with the British families who have been traumatized by their loss and who every day live in uncertainty about the fate of their relatives in captivity. When will the names Leanne, Noia, Yahel, Eli and Yossi pass from the lips of the British government? And it is quite extraordinary. It is quite extraordinary that so much noise is made by Rishi Sunak and that doyen of drama, Suella Braverman. So much noise is made by these two, and so little active support, so little targeted response. It doesn't take long to draft a letter, to send a letter back. But it seems as if this government has taken a decision to treat constituents with contempt.